folks, welcome to Set Apart Homestead. This is Travis here at the Prepared Homestead. Wow, is it sultry the last few days. Humidity has been really high, a little bit higher temperatures than normal. Not complaining, because it wasn't that long ago, about, I don't know, week and a half, 2 weeks ago, that we were running around here complaining about, is it ever going to warm up? Because it was just raining and kind of cool, you know, highs in the mid 50s, and now we're in the mid 90s, which is abnormally high here this time of the year. But it's all going to probably cool off at least back to normal temperatures soon, because that big tropical storm is heading right through our area. It'll be like a tropical depression, I think they said, about the time that it hits us, or something like that. Supposed to be getting a lot of rain, which has been kind of a reoccurring theme around here in the Ozarks. Thankfully, the garden, I don't know if you can see, the sun's kind of messing with the lighting here. The garden's really dry right now, and I've let it dry out. Nothing's wilting or anything, but it's been so wet. And I wanted to give the plants a little bit of a break, some of the roots, and you could tell some of them were, you know, starting to turn yellow, and they were getting so waterlogged because of the amount of rain that we'd been getting. So I've let them just kind of dry out, and they're starting to perk up and get green again. And then starting this evening, that's supposed to hit that tropical storm, and they're calling for anywhere from 2 to 6 inches of rain here in this area. So we'll see how much we get. I'm sure we'll get quite a bit. I suspect probably between 2 and 3 inches is my guess, my completely unexpert guess, which is fine. I mean, that's just how it is. That's how it is out on a homestead, out on a farm, when you're out like this. And I'm going to be making a video, kind of a serious learning, but also a little bit of fun, you know, tongue-in-cheek video of just what it's like. You know, basically, you know, I've joked with my family, you know, a lot of people online always trying to define the term of homesteading, you know, modern homesteading. To me, it's basically putting out fires. That's what it is every day, putting out fires. You know, fix this, fix that, fix this, fix that. This year, for instance, I'll give you an example. I bought a new water hose, which, as you probably know, those of you that live out like this use water hoses everywhere. So I bought this water hose, and it was supposed to be the super heavy duty industrial, whatever, high speed, fancy water hose. Man, that thing has been the biggest piece of junk. And it was the real long kind. That's why I bought it. It was like 150 foot long, and it was supposed to be the real heavy duty kind. I have patched that thing. I bought it this year, and I patched it 3 times, and it blew another hole yesterday. My goodness. And I paid a little bit extra for the thing just to get you know, the better quality. It's probably got a warranty on it, but I have no clue where the receipt would be, so patching it again. And that's just how it is. It's like you're putting out fires all the time out here. You know, you start one project, something happens, you got to go fix that, got to work on this, mend that, expand this. Hey, it's the life, right? It's fun. It is. Really, it is. Oh, today I want to talk about more of what's going on, of course, and I want to focus in on this new movement that's coming out of the riots and the protests, which is disbanding and defunding the police. And I figured I could take a kind of a different perspective for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm former law enforcement myself. So I feel, being former law enforcement, if I want to talk bad about law enforcement, I kind of have a right, you know, I can do that, and because I've been on the street, I know what it's like. So if I chose to do that. But I'm also very kind of libertarian, conservative libertarian, not the crazy moonbat libertarian, but very conservative, limited government libertarian. And so I see kind of a different perspective. And my perspective is yes, there needs to be reform of law enforcement. We have created a police state. We've given the police these military-like powers, military training, military gear. We've recruited from the military for our local police. We have given them way too much authority, unchecked authority. That's the problem, unchecked authority. And so is there abuses and violence and overstepping authority and rights being trampled on by police out there? There are several instances of it. It happens often. Does that mean the police are bad, horrible people? Does that mean that they all hate you, that they hate you because of your color, because of your religion, that they want to take all your rights away and trample on them? I would argue in the vast majority it's no. That's not the case. I'm sure there are some out there that are just purely racist. I'm sure there are many out there that, thrive off of controlling you and taking your rights away. I'm sure that there are some out there that are just prone to violence and they use their badge and their gun to use that violence against people. But I think the vast majority of law enforcement out there are pretty decent guys. Most of the ones I've known, they're just family men. I think the training is really where it's at, the upper brass and the training, and teaching them a little bit better about, respecting other people's rights and respecting people, and that you're really there to protect and serve, not to dominate and control and force people into submission of the law. So I think that we could go a long way by just reevaluating how we train officers. Not just in the beginning, but throughout their whole career. But I'm not really for this disbanding police. And I heard yesterday that Minneapolis voted to disband the police department, just to completely get rid of it. And they say that they're going to replace it with something else. This, politically correct, social, huggy, touchy-feely department that'll come out there and hold your hand and cry with you when things are just rough, right? I predict a mass exodus from Minneapolis if they follow through with this. There are a lot of people, and I don't care if they're left or right, that are going to say, this is just ridiculous. This is not going to work, and we're getting out of here. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of businesses don't just walk away, because your business is your livelihood, and if there's no one there to protect it, and of course it being a very liberally controlled city, they're not going to allow you to have the freedom to protect it yourself. I could see a lot of people just walking away and leaving. But I think what we're going to see out of this, and some of this, what I'm going to say is, well, a lot of it's my opinion, but some of it is based on some stuff I've seen talked about, history, current events. What I predict, because it's not just Minneapolis, there's a lot of cities right now that are talking about defunding, disbanding, restructuring. They're using all these terms when it comes to law enforcement. And what I feel that's going to happen is we're going to see whether they completely disband these departments or they just radically restructure them. We're going to see, instead of a law enforcement body that is just specifically trained police officers, I think what we're probably going to see is various departments within the government that have their own policing agencies. So the health department would have a policing agency. There may be, social services would have their own policing agency within their department. And they would go out on calls. So if there's a domestic violence, going on, they might send social workers out there that have police-like powers to try to resolve the issue. Or the health department, if there's, if it's maybe children involved, or it's child protective services, different departments like that. They may be therapists that they would come out. There's all kinds. It's just crazy. And as crazy as that sounds to you and I, and maybe as great as that sounds to the people that want it, what I predict that will end up happening in the long run is where we'll see the development of thought police. it'll be probably very similar to like the brown shirts that Hitler had in Nazi Germany, where they were kind of like citizen police that went around and made sure that you were complying and being a good citizen, right? Not just upholding laws and orders, but I could see it going so far as, oh, well, my neighbor doesn't like gay people, or doesn't, he thinks that being trans whatever is awful, and so you have someone come in and they try to, get you to conform to this new way of thought, and possibly ending up in some kind of punishment. And I know that sounds really extreme, but I could easily see that's where this is headed. And as much as I, even coming from a law enforcement background, see that there are failings in our police departments, not all of them, but many police departments have really need to get their act together. In the end, the average police officer does kind of get it, that there are certain rights that you need to respect and kind of protect as a police officer, certain individual rights. Whereas these people that they're trying to push in, these moonbat liberals, they're not going to care about that kind of stuff, because they're pushing their agenda. And I could see they're definitely start a movement to conform to this thought police idea. And it's kind of scary when you kind of start letting your mind wander down that road of where we could end up. But I'm telling you, it's not much any more scarier than what we're already seeing. The amount of, man, yesterday my wife and I were talking about this, and I'm telling you, it's heartbreaking to see what has happened, where we are, the road that we are going down, and what kind of world are we leaving to our children and our grandchildren. What will they see? What will they experience? And it's really sad, and I don't know that there's any way to stop it at this point without, the Father in heaven putting his foot down. I mean, you can still resist, but in the end, I don't know that even resistance is going to really change the system a whole lot. So it's a pretty scary place, and I think I have a gut feeling that a lot of the stuff that's going on between pandemics and riots and impeachments and all this kind of crazy stuff, the government releasing videos on supposed aliens. I mean, did you guys see that stuff a couple of months ago? The Pentagon and CIA, just there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on right now. And I have a gut feeling that while each one of these things, there may be an agenda or a goal to accomplish by, having the pandemic and the riots and all these other things, I think a lot of it also, the greater plan is to almost distract or to prepare for the things that's yet to come. And I have a gut feeling that one of those things is probably the introduction of all this higher advanced technology, like AI. I don't know how many of you watching my channel follow kind of the advances in artificial intelligence, at least that we are aware of. But I'm telling you, it's quite scary, to the level and even beyond the level of movies of the past, like Terminator and The Matrix and stuff. These sci-fi movies where AI rose up against humanity and conquered us. We are on the cusp of that level of technology with AI already. And if you really start digging into it, it's quite terrifying in a lot of ways of what we have developed already. And this is what they admit to developing, and then what they plan or desire to develop in the recent upcoming years. So I don't know, where does it all end? My mother and I were talking about this, and she asked, my opinion of, hey, do you think this really is the end time? Do you think it's really happening? And my honest answer is I don't think we know. Could be decades or centuries away, but my gut tells me is that we're seeing it happen. there's always been in history crazy things happen, and there's always been things that you could point to. This is a sign of the end times. But as an amateur history buff, I cannot remember another time in human history where so many things are happening all at once. Big things, global things that could vastly change humanity, not just little regional incidents. This stuff is big. And there's a lot of crazy conspiracies going on out there, and you have to be really careful about not just jumping on the bandwagon and buying into them, because there's a lot of people out there trying to distract and lead you down these fictitious fake news roads and say, check out this conspiracy, and it's not real. So you have to be careful with that. But in the end, every day, I am more and more convinced, more and more certain that the lifestyle that we have chosen to live is the path that we were meant to be on. We've talked to our kids, especially our older ones, and you know how it is. But if any of you out there that live out like this and you have older, like teenagers, sometimes it's tough. Sometimes they know, maybe it's friends, family, or if they watch any kind of media or anything, they see how modern families live, and they're thinking, man, as much as I love out here in the country, it'd be nice to kind of have that modern life at least for a day or two. And so there's always a struggle with that with kids, especially older teenagers. But we were talking to them the other day, and of course they admitted, they acknowledged it, that as much as there are things that we give up living like this, now more than ever in history, we consider ourselves so fortunate to be able to live like this. We choose this lifestyle. We don't live like this because we have to. We're not forced into this lifestyle for any reason, and it's certainly not the cheapest way to live. We could live a lot cheaper in the city or something like that, in an apartment or a little rental house. We choose this lifestyle, but there may come a day soon in our lifetime that living this way isn't really a choice. It may be the only way to truly survive. Maybe not, but just looking at the way things are going right now, we're certainly a lot better off out here than most people are in cities right now. We don't have to worry about violence. We don't have to worry about if we're going to starve to death or not. We can go to sleep at night and feel pretty safe that we're okay out here. And we have the freedom to live the life that we want to believe the way we want to serve the Father in freedom, and to teach our children in freedom, and to live a healthy lifestyle the way we choose to, and not being forced to take a drug or a vaccine or teach our children a certain way. So while we do give up things out here, we certainly have a lot of benefits. I feel like, man, I've covered probably 10 subjects in this video. This is not where I had planned on taking this video. Anyways, folks, get your hearts ready. Things are coming down the pike, I feel, that's going to make what's going on now pale. It's going to seem small and insignificant, what we're going to face over probably the next 18 months. I think it's going to start getting crazy. So anyways, those of you in the path of this tropical storm, it doesn't look like it's going to be like some real severe weather, but it looks like we're going to get a lot of wet weather. So friends down there in Arkansas, all the way up through the Ozarks right now, get ready. I think some of you probably are already getting it. It looks like it's like north of Little Rock, Arkansas right now as I'm filming this video. So get yourselves ready for a wet one. It's kind of what it's been all season here in the Ozarks. Thank you all for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.